Hi, this is Dani SnyderYoung, Vice President for Conference 2023. And last summer in Detroit, Dominique Morisseau charged us to build from the rubble. So this summer in Austin, that's just what we're going to do. We've been working with the Kraft Institute to implement our anti-racist strategic plan. And so the conference that we are developing for Austin is going to look a little different than it has in the past. So you have a full written call for action. And I know it's long, but there are some new experiments and some new initiatives, and I hope that you'll really read it and think about the role that you can play in transforming our field to be more just and more inclusive. So this summer, we're looking for action-oriented sessions that are going to help us transform our internal, interpersonal, and institutional practices, both to transform our association and to meet the needs of our changing field. So this process is a little different. Most years we announce a theme at the annual convening, and we did indeed this summer announce a theme at the annual convening. So after 2 years apart, the conference committee and we developed a theme that did not, as we discovered in Detroit, really reflect the conversations that we were needing to have about association transformation, about who we are and who we want to be, to bring our ideals and our practices into alignment. At the urging of the Kraft Institute, we said we don't need to move forward with the thing we said we'd do just because we said we were going to do it. We can stop and refocus and move forward in a way that's going to really take us as an association and as a field where it is we need to go. And so I thank you all for your flexibility in rolling with this pivot. So speaking of rolling with it, so this summer, we're going to Texas. So I know that there are a lot of members who are uncomfortable with going to Texas for a conference. And I'm going to admit, I also asked if we could wriggle out, and really had some helpful conversations to help me understand where my regional biases were maybe getting in the way of some of the work that we need to do as an association. So total practical logistics. So our conferences are in hotels because we need a lot of meeting rooms, and we sign contracts for these hotels years in advance. So this year's conference, it's the last of the pre-pandemic hotel contracts. One of the things that we need to do together in Austin is figure out what's coming next, because this model of the hotel conference, it's very expensive and it doesn't meet the needs of a lot of members, not anymore. And we need to change in order to actually make our conferences accessible to the actual people who teach in and study theater and higher education in this country. So, but that leaves us with this contract. So this contract was signed in 2019 for the 2021 conference. So in 2021, COVID concerns led us to hold that conference online, but we didn't get out of that 2019 hotel contract. We had to pay a fee, and then we're able to reschedule for 2023. So the Austin conference, it was supposed to be in 2021 in the summer. In the fall of 2021, a couple months later, the fetal heartbeat bill went into effect. At which point, we had to make a decision. Were we going to cancel on this contract, pay exorbitant fees, and put the association in less than optimal fiscal shape, and line the coffers of the Marriott? Or were we going to move forward with the conference and use that funding to build programming that would benefit our members? And so the governing council voted to hold the Austin conference. And so from a practical level, that is one very concrete reason why we are going to Texas. The other reason is that a lot of our members live in Texas, in Florida, in Louisiana, in Tennessee, in Georgia, in Oklahoma, in Missouri, in places that are legislating discrimination. And our members who live in those places deserve to be able to drive to the conference, to be able to have their work showcased, to be able to share the knowledge that they've generated about artistry and pedagogy and resistance under oppressive circumstances. and that I live in Boston, that I didn't fully recognize my own regional privileges and the way that I was reacting, and how it was shutting out my friends and colleagues who live in those places. And so I go to Texas in solidarity with my colleagues who live there. Now, Austin is a progressive city, and the people who live in Austin are just as horrified by many of the policies that Texas is enacting as many of our members. And the GRACE Act the Austin City Council passed the GRACE Act last summer, which decriminalizes abortion. So I know that there are members with uteruses who are really concerned about going to Austin, that should they have a health emergency, they won't be able to access the care that they need. And I hear you and I see you. The conference committee has 3 women who live in Austin, and we will make sure that we have resources available so that should there be an emergency on the ground, we are able to help take care of our members. And there will be more, we will send out like separate missives about that as we get a little bit closer. And I, for one, am really excited to see all of you in person. And those of you who can't join us, because there will be people who can't come, for whom it's financially inaccessible, who really just don't feel like it's safe. And we will have robust remote programming so that we can include you in our convening, even if you cannot join us in person. But I do hope that you will join us in person as we build on the work we were doing with the Focus Group Summit last year, as we build on the work many focus groups and many members have already been doing to transform our field into one that is more inclusive and more equitable and more just.